First, welcome everybody. I know there's always excitement when we have a topic having to do with managing our wardrobes. And this is a step up from that. But before I get into introducing our wonderful guests, I wanted to just mention two things. One is to look out for a reminder next week. We've got a great event coming up on the 29th called the Retirement of Traditional Senior Housing, New Approaches to Aging at Home or in a Community. Totally different topic, but just shows the range of things that we try to offer you. And this is whether you're planning ahead for where you're like to be in many years, or you're looking into it for parents or relatives. This will be a terrific event on Tuesday, the 29th. And as you can see, we've got some other events coming up with career services. We've got several people that are going to be here on May 7th to talk about all the different resources and coaching and things that are free that you can avail yourselves of. And as you can see, there's many other also events coming up. The other thing I wanted to mention, sometime in the next couple of weeks, I think we are going to be sending out a survey, and we've never really done this full-fledged survey since we've gone national. So I'd like you to be on the lookout for it. It's really important that you fill it out, because we're going to use it to understand better the profiles of our membership and also how we can, more importantly, serve you better. So, but today we have the two wonderful women who we're so thrilled that they agreed to do this with us. They both run a company that's called The Style That Binds Us, which is an executive styling firm. It was founded by a mother-daughter duo, although they look like sisters to me, Alison Bruhn and Delia. They're executive image strategists. So they really help leaders elevate their presence through wardrobe management and what they call visual branding. And their work's been featured in major outlets like the New York Times, Wall Street Journal, Forbes, and GMA. And they've partnered with many top firms like Blackstone, NASDAQ, and Merrill Lynch. So, and just a quick mention for each of them, Alison's a national style and image consultant. She was trained at FIT and has a decade of experience helping women, and been featured in many top publications like Times and Forbes, etc. And Delia began her career at Versace and Barney's New York, where she specialized in buying and trend forecasting, and she's a frequent speaker. So we've got two super talented and very experienced women who are going to tell us how we can improve our visual brand image. So take it away. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Deborah. And we are going to have time for questions at the end, so you can pop them into the chat, but we can address those at the very end. So here we go. Okay, everyone, all good. And Deborah, if any problems come up during the presentation, you can just let us know. Okay.
Yes.
All right. There was a time when I looked in the mirror and I did not even recognize myself. Not just physically, but also who I had become in the process of all the responsibilities of my life, like blending a family, taking care of aging parents, one of whom had Alzheimer's, my own changing body shape as I, went through the years, and building this young company with my business partner and daughter while we lived in two very different places in the United States. So traveling back and forth, juggling all of that, I really did lose my way. So I took a long, hard look at my life and thought about the choices I had made and what I could change and what I could not. So I made some decisions, 3 major ones. The first one being that I had been in an unhappy marriage for many years. And through encouragement of family and friends, and certainly nudges from my daughter and business partner, I took the leap and I left the marriage. And if this has happened to you, you might understand that as you go through the years, your self-confidence and even your self-worth, your sense of self-worth kind of go downhill. So by the time you're thinking about making a big change like that, the energy and the courage is, it's next to nothing. So it's a super difficult thing to do, but I did it. And then, and then the second life-changing decision I made was to move from Birmingham, Alabama to New York City at age 59. So that was a huge change. But the third, I decided that I was going to reclaim my life for who I am today. And in the process of that, I was going to revamp, restudy, rebuild, not restudy, but really think through and rebuild my personal visual presence. So going through that process, and I'm not saying it was easy in any way, but the result has been dramatic for me, and I think for our business too, because it has grown exponentially in a short amount of time. We have clients globally now. Like Deborah said, we've been featured in Wall Street Journal and New York Times, and an article about us just came out in Forbes magazine this week. We've worked with NASDAQ and Blackstone and Stifel, and the list goes on there. And we've been on Good Morning America and numerous television stations across the country. And we're now style contributors for Couric Media. And here we are talking to you all today. So a lot of things have changed, and because I put in the work. So that's my story. Now let's talk about you.
Okay. So I'm going to take you through some problems and scenarios that are probably going to sound very familiar. Okay, number 1, the biggest issue that women come to us with is time scarcity. Between managing their teams and clients, personal obligations, their never-ending to-do list, that leaves little time for wardrobe strategy. Career image concerns. So about 75% of women coming to us as prospective clients,
listen to this meeting.
they either feel that they look too young, or they feel that they are not projecting the appropriate level of seniority for their position. They feel that their look does not equate to their professional capabilities. So usually men are judged on their performance, whereas women are judged on performance and their appearance. I was having a conversation with a client, and she was recounting a time when she was in a meeting with fellow leadership, and they were discussing candidates up for promotion. When the male candidates were discussed, they spoke about their strengths and their work. But when the female candidates were being discussed, they solely spoke to their flaws, including those about their appearance. So this is obviously not fair and completely wrong. And so at some point she realized this and called it out, and they were shocked and embarrassed and quickly changed how they were discussing each candidate. But this really does happen more often than we think. Most of our clients are the business world is mostly male dominated. So sometimes they are often the only woman in the room. So they really want to get their look right. There's a Deloitte study, and it found that 73% of women in leadership, that they felt that maintaining a polished and professional image all throughout their career significantly impacted their career progression in a positive way. How we present ourselves, it impacts trust, influence, earnings, career growth. Yet image is often overlooked, risking credibility and missed opportunities. A McKinsey study found that 67% of women, if they were in a client-facing role or if they were giving a presentation to the board, they felt more conscious of their appearance versus only 43% of men. Now we're going into body changes and confidence. So 65% of women coming to us as prospective clients, they have experienced body changes. So post-COVID, post-baby, menopausal, they've gained or they've lost weight. And if they feel that their body is going to continue to change, like they have a goal to lose weight, and we all know how hard that is, they are hesitant to invest in new pieces, but they have a wardrobe filled with clothes that don't fit them. So they're either too big or too small, and neither is a good scenario and is not setting you up for success. In terms of confidence, about 6 out of 10 women coming to us, they are not feeling good about themselves. It causes mental drain. If the daily act of getting dressed, one of the first things that you do in the morning, if that is causing you stress, frustration, it's a depressing experience, that could lead to mental drain. And by the time you get to work, you're not in the right headspace. And if you are not feeling confident, you don't feel confident enough to compete. And most of these industries that you work in are highly, highly competitive, and they find themselves not seeking those top jobs. And that is not what we want at all, because we're on a mission to advance and empower women. Okay, style knowledge gap. So that's about 70% of women coming to us. They do not know how to put together outfits. They don't know how to dress for their body type. They may or may not know what their body type is, and especially going back to the body changes, how do you dress for your new body type? They don't know what colors to wear or avoid. If your hair color has changed in a drastic way, you might need a whole new color palette. They do not know the brands. If they want to add a couple new pieces, they don't know which brands to go to or which stores to shop in. They're really feeling lost, and they have zero free time, as I talked about in problem 1. And when they do finally have free time, they certainly do not want to spend it researching more than they've already had to research during the week for work. Researching what are the trends, what came down the runway, so that if I am going to add something into my wardrobe, I want it to be fresh and modern and new, but I literally don't even know where to start. They feel like they don't even have a style aesthetic, a signature executive look. Oops.
Almost there.
Yes. Okay. As women, we are supposed to project authority, leadership, credibility, power, and strength. But also, we are supposed to look approachable and trustworthy. This is a very complex puzzle to solve, and it can be extremely challenging to get exactly right. And unlike men, who can rely on a simple suit rotation, there are fewer standardized options for women that balance professionalism with modern style. Everything is very confusing, especially post-COVID. And another McKinsey study found that 55% of women, if they were feeling insecure about their head-to-toe look, and if they were in a high-stakes environment like a meeting or a presentation, that negatively impacted their performance. Do any of these sound familiar to
Yes,
you?
and to me personally,
Right.
I've just told my story, but as well as so many people that I work with and just talk to on a daily basis.
Exactly. Okay, so here are some of the problems that you might experience if your image does not match your professional caliber. I do not know why this thing is not working well. Okay, here it is. So it might take longer for you to advance in your career. You may struggle to acquire clients who are expecting a certain level of polish, especially if you're going after these high value clients. I think I might be getting messed up in this like admit thing. Okay, anyway, so with client retention, they may lose clients to competitors who better embody success through their appearance. They may miss out on opportunities to serve on prestigious boards that would generate valuable connections. You may be passed over for visibility building industry presentations. And unfortunately, about 6 out of 10 women coming to us, they have turned down a speaking opportunity due to concerns about their appearance. Productivity. Okay, so we might experience decision fatigue. We might show up to work with a cluttered brain. So if you go to the office and you're second guessing your look, you're feeling insecure. Is this too tight? Did I wear the wrong thing? Is it too short? Oh my gosh, in the commute, I got all wrinkled. That is what you were focused on at work. That is a distraction to you. It might be a distraction to the people that are interacting with you. And you are not able to be fully focused and present and show up with your A game at the time when you most need to do that. So let's talk about daily stressors. So when I was talking about that daily act of getting dressed, what is that experience like for you? Because if it is stressful, in these modern times, life is stressful enough, especially with all the uncertainty that we're facing. And if that everyone has to get dressed and put together an outfit each day. And if that is not a calm and a nice and exciting experience, that might be adding to the stressors. And we know that stress impacts us physically, mentally, emotionally. So we do not want getting dressed to exacerbate that problem. And about 8 of 10 women coming to us, they are spending a significant amount of time every day deliberating these wardrobe choices. And that definitely impacts their productivity.
I just read something yesterday. It was either from the We Suite or from Chief, both, women's career organizations. And the woman that wrote the article said that she believes that sitting on boards is more important than your position at your company, and that there are not enough women still sitting on boards. So that's a bigger deal than it may sound like, right?
Exactly. So let's talk about missed opportunities. So if you are not showing up to work each day looking the part, you may simply not come to mind when opportunities arise. And number 2, if you showed up to work and you were dressed more casually that day, and you didn't have extra pieces at the office to elevate or dress up your look, if a last minute meeting, event, networking, dinner, whatever it is, pops on the calendar, you may miss out on that opportunity. So not only will you not be as competitive at your company and within your industry, you won't be as competitive in acquiring and retaining clients, which is a major bummer because one of the best ways to become an irreplaceable and invaluable employee is to bring in new business, to grow that business, and to grow existing business. But also, you are a representation of your company. So not only is this an individual issue, your company is not going to be as competitive. And lastly, you may miss out on high-profile client opportunities within your firm.
Right. And each one of those, we picked each one of those things because we hear it, from our clients and from women every single day. These things, they're real. And I'm sure many of you can relate to a lot of them. And now I want to talk about why some of the existing solutions you've tried aren't working, because it has nothing to do with you and you don't have style and all of the things that I hear. It has to do with, first of all, there is no guidance really right now. This idea, we were all comfortable with business professional, then lockdown came, we got all cozy and cocooning, then we're slowly drifting back into spending more time in the office and certainly still on Zoom and business casual, like Delia alluded to earlier. What is that? For one of my clients was saying she had just gotten a promotion. She was going to a big conference and she had only men on her team. So she said, what should I wear? And they said, well, we don't know. We just wear suits with no ties. Well, that wasn't an option for her. That wasn't what she was going for. So she really was stumped there. So anyway, when you start looking around, when your company says, oh, we've gone to business casual or just dress for your day, those are pretty broad descriptions, and they really don't give you, many parameters to go by. So let's say, okay, I'm going to start looking at news publications and maybe even fashion magazines. You start looking on those things, and I do research on that all the time. And I really can't figure out when I read these articles where they think the people work for what they're recommending as business casual. I can't see how that could help anybody. And then another issue is, well, you get ideas on Instagram, and a lot of people look on TikTok, and I'm not sure that social media is where you want to look if you are trying to really create a commanding presence. Online, just sizing challenges is only one issue with online shopping, and I'm sure you all have your stories that you could share right now, and each of us knows how it is to shop online for hours and hours and hours. You never find anything, maybe one or two things. They finally come, you have to box them up, you have to return them. No wonder people are like, I don't do online shopping anymore. I hear that all the time. Store stylist. Okay, so that is a person who has been hired by a specific store to sell what they have in the store. And that's a great option if you already have a working wardrobe and you just want to bring in a few new pieces, or you are interested in knowing what's the shoe everybody's wearing this year, or those kinds of questions. Or I'm coming to you because I need this for a gala and this for a speaking event, or whatever it is. That could be a great source. But they don't know what's in your closet at home, and they don't know your body type, and they probably don't really understand what you do for a living either. So that's limited. What about personal stylist? Well, most personal stylists don't niche down. They work with different people for a lot of different reasons. And their job is, again, to say, oh, you need a graphic tee this season, or you've got to try the wide leg jeans. Well, those kinds of things don't work for everybody. I've heard over and over again, I would never wear a graphic tee, and now I have these. I felt like I was pressured into buying this, and it was just a mistake, and all those kind of things. So if you are looking for help, one-on-one help for your career wardrobe and building a signature look, you need to make sure and interview the stylist ahead of time. Make sure they've done this before and they really have a good understanding of what it is you're trying to achieve. Figuring it out yourself, well, sure, we've all done that before. And usually it's, I'll wait till I lose the weight, like you said, or I'll wait until I'm ready to go for the promotion, or I'll do it when the kids are at camp, or I'll wait till I pay for the kids' camp. There's always an ongoing conversation in your head, or a lot of times it's just like, I've tried this over and over again and I quit. I give up. It's too hard. So that doesn't always work out if you don't have any sort of suggestions about how to go about that. Rental options and subscriptions. Rental options are great. One of the big rental companies, I just read about how they're going to try and bring in double the inventory because they lost millions of dollars from 2023 to 2024. It's such a great idea, but it's really hard to put into practice in real life. And also, if you're trying to build that wardrobe that's going to last you season after season, the rental options aren't a great way to go because you're just turning them back in. So you end up, in the same place you were before you rented the things. A friend of mine was telling me a story. She is a leader at her company. She was leading an important meeting, and afterwards someone younger on her team came up to her and said, I rented that dress last week. So she felt sort of deflated after that because she had felt like she had created this commanding presence and she was leading this important meeting, only to find out that, this person knew that she had just rented the dress for the day or whatever. Subscription models, I feel like they aren't as popular as they used to be for real reasons. I mean, statistically, data shows that people usually drop off after about 3 months. And what I'm talking about here is when when you sign up and you fill out an intake form and there's an algorithm involved, and then you get a box in the mail that has options that they think you would like, and you send back what you don't like, etc. The problem is, again, they don't know what's in your closet at home. They don't really understand your coloring. They only are going by the things you told them. They certainly aren't human beings, so they don't understand what your lifestyle is like and everything. So all these things are somewhat helpful, can be, but if you've tried all of them and you're still not satisfied with how your look is now, that's probably why. So what could you do? Well, number one, create a signature executive look. And I know you're thinking, well, how do you do that? But the first part of it is understanding what look you would like to go after. Think for a little while about your position or the position that you aspire to, and what in your mind do you think is what would that look like visually? What does that person in that role in your mind, in your dream mind, what would that look like? And then start working towards that. Number two is going to help you with number one. Number two is learn to use your style as a tool to reach your goals. What that means is we normally get dressed by thinking, okay, it's raining today, so I'm going to wear this, or I love this color, so I think I'll wear this today. This will cheer me up. Or I want to be really comfortable today, so I'm wearing this. But not many times do we stop and think, what are the non-verbal messages I am sending out into the world based on how I am presenting myself visually today? And that means a lot of times we sabotage ourselves, because we are all right this minute by what we're wearing and our hair and everything else, and our posture, our tone of voice, we are sending nonverbal messages. But you might not know that you can control that. You can create your signature look that tells the world who you are strategically. And it's a nuanced thing. They're not going to necessarily, when they meet with you, think, oh, she's this, but their brain is assigning you attributes. I mean, we already know that happens within the first 7 seconds of meeting. So as women, like Delia alluded to the fact that, a lot of us are in, not in styling, but are in male dominated industries. And so we have a lot going against us. Time starvation just being the first thing. So any tool that you have in your toolbox is a gift. And so you have much more power over what people think about you. This isn't judging you like she's not cute, don't like her hair. This is more about assigning attributes, like Delia said, trustworthy, leadership material. Yes, I want her to be my broker, whatever. All of the things you can really create that, the messages that you're sending. And then when you think about that, that will help you create your own signature look. And then the third thing is, if you've tried all this, or if you just feel like, I don't have the time to even think about this, I know it's important, it is not my wheelhouse, it's okay to outsource. It's the same thing as working with an executive coach. Actually, executive coaches often come to us to collaborate, because they realize that's not in their wheelhouse, the visual portion of it, but they also understand that a person is the whole package, and the exterior needs to match the interior, and you can use that exterior as a way to get in the door or to stand apart. So we're going to have some fun now. We're going to do a few case studies, and these are based on clients. Change the names, of course, and I picked client stories that I hear repeatedly. So hopefully they might resonate with you, and you might get some ideas about how you can tweak your look. So this person is Jennifer, not her real name, but Jennifer is a very hard worker, and she is brilliant, but she is repeatedly passed over for the leadership roles in her company, and it's driving her crazy. She feels invisible. Sometimes she does feel like people are talking right over her. She cannot figure out what's going on. She's tried everything, and she knows she's really overqualified for her job. So what's not happening? She said, maybe the thing is I don't have an executive or a commanding enough presence. So that's when she came to us to get help with that. And what we did together was revamp that professional image. She was a traditional dresser. She was comfortable in suits. She worked in a business professional office environment. So what we did, we didn't put her in something wildly different where she came in the next day at work and people were like, what in the world has happened to you? It's more about taking that image and, spiffing it up a bit. So one thing, going back into her closet, looking at the pieces she had there and taking them to be tailored. Attention to fit is one of the most important things that you can do. And I know it takes a little time to get that done and to pick it up or have it delivered or whatever, but it makes such a huge, huge, huge difference. You can take a suit off the rack or a dress, pants, anything. And when you get it tailored to fit you, it's an entirely different look. If your sleeves are too long on your blazers, or if you're wearing a shirt that is a little bit too tight across the chest with the buttons, you need to get rid of that shirt immediately. Anything that's too tight or too big, the idea is you're not super organized. It's definitely not a power look. And then we brought in a few new pieces that were higher quality. I'm not talking about designer quality. I mean, if you have that kind of budget, certainly go for it. Makes life, it's easier because there's some more options up there at that, stratospheric level. But most of us can't afford that. But look for pieces that look like they are designer and that they are, I suggest, like natural fibers. For, they breathe more, but also a lot of times they drape more nicely. Things that are lined, like if it's a blazer that's lined or a pair of pants that are lined, that's gonna allow so much more elegantly on the body. This is not about spending $1 million. This is about attention to detail and these little tweaks that you can do that make you go from ordinary to extraordinary. And then the last thing we did with Jennifer was bring in an investment piece, and I'll go over that with you in a minute.
Okay, so about 6 months later, after working together, we received a very exciting call. Jennifer had been promoted, so she received that promotion that she was overqualified for. It was long overdue. And in that promotion conversation with leadership, they noted that her presence had become more commanding and memorable. That was what we were going for in that when we were doing the visual brand creation. And she was thrilled to see that they had taken note. Human beings, we are visual. As crazy as it sounds, elevating and polishing her look was the last hurdle that she needed to overcome in order to get to the next level and to really be seen as a leader, someone who would hold that title. The other thing she was talking to us about was the increased peer recognition. So when she came to us, people in meetings, they weren't listening to her, they were even talking over her. Not only had that completely changed, they were now looking to her to get her thoughts. Because guess what? She looked like the leader, the authority in the room, the person that you look to. They're the ones that have the answers. They know the direction that we should go in. So she was really excited to see that it had been a full 360 change.
So the miracle of AI has brought us Jennifer before and after. This is not Jennifer's actual picture, but it is the closest rendition that I could find. So on the left, there's nothing wrong with that look. And we might all think, oh, I have that in my closet. I wear that sometimes. But it's a little bit drab and it's a little bit dark. And the jewelry that she's wearing it doesn't really do much for the look. This isn't about fluffing you up. Remember, this is about creating a look that helps you stand apart from the crowd. So what we did with her was we did do a makeup consultation, not to tell her to wear a bunch of makeup, but to add a little warmth and energy to her face. The blazer is red. This doesn't mean, I'm not saying everyone needs a red blazer. I'm saying it was a color that looks great on her with her skin tone. It's a nicer quality blazer. We switched the dark shirt under or shell underneath for a white one, because again, that has a pop to it, which is subliminally saying energetic, powerful, smart. You know, you just naturally want to be on her team. And then that necklace was the investment piece. I'm not saying go out and buy an 18 karat gold necklace right now, especially that size, because we all know that gold prices are soaring. But there are plenty of necklaces out there that look like they're, 14 or 18 karat gold. And it doesn't need to be anything that's distracting or loud, but this was a good enough size that it pulled that look together, and that gold against her skin. It needs to be the metal that works against your skin. Some people that would be silver, some people it's gold. It adds that warmth. It literally will bring a glow. And when you pull all that together, before and after, if you are you walk in a room and you're looking for the most dynamic person there, which person would you naturally be drawn to? Case study number 2, this is going to be Danielle. Danielle, when she started her career, people were still telling women, dress like a man, which of course we know that never really was a successful piece of advice. We're women and we shouldn't be embarrassed by that. But she was very comfortable in suiting because she had come up in a time when business professional was the rule of the day. Then comes lockdown. And now it's business casual. She can't figure it out because she is at a high point in her career. So she has people under her. When she tried to go business casual, she felt sloppy and sort of childlike, and she didn't feel like a leader. When she tried to sort of tweak that look a little bit, then she felt stiff and frumpy and out of touch and not approachable to her team. So she was really lost, exhausted, very time starved, 3 kids, traveling globally a lot for work. It was the whole, the perfect storm. And so she came to us because she was highly stressed. So we developed a high impact, low maintenance, power casual look or uniform for her. And one of the ways you can do that is, instead of your wardrobe being all over the place, create a defined color palette for yourself of maybe 3, 4 max colors. Because when you do that, then it's so much easier to mix and match and take things from day to night. And also easily make a capsule travel wardrobe that's ready at the go, because you have this very defined closet. And for her, we created an outfit inventory, which is something you can do too, so that when she was exhausted, lying in bed at night, she's gotten the kids in bed, her husband, everything's taken care of, and then she realizes, oh my God, I have this important meeting tomorrow. She just pulls out her inventory and knows exactly what she's going to wear for any occasion.
A couple months later, we were working together, and she was excited to tell us that she had been selected at her company to lead a new initiative, and that recently she had been rated as highly authoritative yet approachable. So remember going back to that complex puzzle that I was explaining that can be so hard to get right? She was thrilled to see that what we had done had actually worked. So when we were creating that visual brand for her signature executive look, she wanted to look both of those things, strike that balance. She was actually shocked because she was setting the standard firm-wide in terms of professional attire and her image. She could not believe people were emulating this distinctive look that we had created. That would have never happened before, and her confidence was through the roof. So this is exactly why we do what we do. I mean, these are the results that she was looking for and that we were looking for as well.
So here's Danielle. This looks like a Wonder Woman version of Danielle. But anyway, on the left, her comfort zone for her entire career. A suit, a silk blouse. She's got on her pumps and she's taking on the world. When we went to business casual, she was so comfortable with that look and uncomfortable with any other ideas that instead of doing something that was completely out of her wheelhouse, I stuck to the suiting. But the suiting became material, fabrics that were much more comfortable. These pants, you can see, they're almost like a yoga pant. They're super comfortable. So is the blazer. It's got shoulder pads, but it's also still got a softness to it that makes it, you can move easily in it, take it on and off all day long for when you're cold or warm, or when you want to just be working without the blazer. And then instead of a silk blouse, she's in a turtleneck in this picture. So turtlenecks, like a cashmere sweater in winter, or even a t-shirt. It has to be a nice t-shirt that hasn't been balled up in your, drawer, something like that. But anything that's comfortable. And for her, because she liked to wear mainly neutrals, she's in neutrals. And we traded the pump for a great looking loafer and a really great bag. There's that statement necklace too. So this is easy to get dressed. It's very polished. If you like bold color like I do, imagine this, but in bolder colorways. Okay.
Yeah, because you set the tone, right?
Yeah.
Talking about, I know that we have a lot of presidents and C-suite on this call. And so as the world is getting more casual, you are the leader. You are the person that they are looking to as the example. So if you're showing up in jeans or dressing super casually, then of course they feel that it is appropriate for them to wear that as well. So be very thoughtful. Unfortunately, it is more pressure, as you move up the ladder. Not only do you need to be qualified and do all the things with work, but also there's a little bit more pressure on your image because you're setting the tone for the entire company and you're becoming probably more public facing and more of a representation of the company.
I remember somebody was telling me recently, they said our CEO comes in and she's in like
Right.
a workout gear and Birkin bags.
Oh,
I know. And she said, what are we supposed to do with that? We know we can't get away with that, but that's the way she dresses. So we're even more confused than ever. Did I?
that's
tell
very
them already that?
confusing.
I
don't know what
I
that
want to make
is.
sure
Oh,
you all
yeah.
understand that we're not using this time to say, look how great we are. Look what we do for these people. It's more about giving you some real tips and tools to hopefully help you master your executive look. Okay, Olivia. Olivia has always worked with important leaders and clients, and she's always felt a little bit less polished, and that has been a distraction and made her feel insecure. She started playing it more and more safe to the point where she feels like she's invisible, and she knows it's time for her to get more clients, but she's struggling with that. She's being overlooked when she goes to networking events. So she wanted to figure out a way to look more elegant and polished, but on her budget. So we developed the sophisticated minimalist wardrobe. I want you to remember that there are ways to do this that don't cost $1 million. We did not bring her in and say, okay, now we're going to throw out all your things and we're going to put you in all designer clothes. But again, when you want to look, I hate to use the word wealthy, but when you want to look very polished, successful, attention to fit, high quality pieces, that's very nuanced. That's kind of like, it's like a quiet wealth signifier. You're not coming in with logos everywhere, and things like that, but you are coming in, looking very, just looking the part and looking like you belong in that stratosphere. So versatile pieces that are high quality, like I mentioned before. We brought in a few high impact details. You need to know your audience. For her, she had two different kinds of, two different groups of people. One was more fashion forward, and it was down in Miami, and it was bolder colors. And then her other primary realm was Boston and New York and DC. So there she needed to be super polished, but very understated. makeup and hair update, just a tweak with that. And then we worked with her because she was going to galas and important dinners and all of these travel experiences and things like that. So we just worked together to polish her up.
Okay. So a couple months later, she called us because she had been invited to speak at a high-profile industry conference. So she wanted us to help her figure out what to wear while she was speaking, but also to pack for that conference trip. As Mom alluded to earlier, if it's a male-dominated company, there is little direction in terms of what in the world you're supposed to pack if you've never been. And then also, they're often in these resort locations. So how do you show up and present yourself in a professional way while everyone's in a resort state of mind? So that's just very confusing and challenging to get exactly right. So when Olivia came to us, she knew that her wardrobe was something that she needed to address, but what she didn't realize is the major boost to her confidence that she was going to experience. She was talking about how she was feeling bold and powerful, and all of a sudden she was setting higher goals and she was pursuing opportunities that she would not have pursued in the past. She felt much more aligned with her position, so she felt more comfortable conversing with leadership. She felt more respected by her clients and her peers and her direct reports. So remember, when she came to us, she was struggling with client acquisition. She knew she was not getting the clients that she deserved, those high-value clients. There should be no reason other than potentially how she's presenting herself, and that she was being overlooked at networking events. She was not standing out. She was not building her connections, and it was not leading to more business opportunities. But with this high profile industry conference, not only she was going to expand her influence in the industry, but it also was going to lead to those business opportunities that she was seeking. But now, fast forward, after working together and solving all of these issues for her, her client acquisition has increased by 35%, and her existing clients are also entrusting her with more of their business.
So here's Olivia on the left, playing it safe. Fine quality, nothing wrong with that look. We probably all have that in our closet. But when you look on the right, so this would be the Boston, DC, New York work, career experiences that she was having. This shows a more polished version, that those pearls are a quiet wealth signifier, I would say. She knew her audience, and the suit, that navy suit, is the fabric is of higher quality. It's lined like we talked about before, and everything drapes better. And she felt so much more confident when she walked into those meetings.
Okay, so in review, 3 ways to elevate your executive presence is to create a polished and distinctive visual brand. That is your professional trademark. And if you build that low maintenance yet high impact uniform, that's going to eliminate the issues of the "what do I wear today" dilemma, and it is going to immediately establish your credibility. It's going to help you stand apart in these highly competitive industries. It is going to build your reputation within your company and also within the industry. So when people are talking about you or they're thinking about you, what are these words that they're using to describe you? But the most exciting thing and the most empowering thing is that you are in control of that narrative, and you can control how people perceive you if you become super thoughtful about your visual communication, your head to toe look. So this is something that you become known for. So number 2 is that mindset shift. So starting to think of style as a tool in your career toolkit in order to establish your goals and also to reach your full potential. You may not know this, but 55% of communication is nonverbal. That head to toe look, how you walk in that room. You're saying so much without ever opening your mouth. 38% of communication is how you say it, with conviction, or are you ending all of your sentences with questions? And then 7%, only 7% is what you actually say, the content of that presentation. So remember that 55%, that is the highest percentage here in terms of using style as a tool. So being thoughtful about those messages that you're sending, and you understand investing in yourself because you have invested in going to business school. So these, we have internal investment. So that's your education, potentially bringing in a coach. That is investing in the internal to get you to advance and to elevate yourself. But we cannot have that without the external. So that's why Mom was talking earlier about the executive coach working on the internal, who brings us in to help with that external presence. KPMG found that 75% of women in leadership at some point in their career, I can't believe it's only 75%, but they have all felt imposter syndrome. And a way to overcome imposter syndrome, or those things that you're working with your therapist and your executive coach on, the way to overcome that as well is using your wardrobe as armor, so that even if you feel, we were talking to someone recently and she was saying, I often forget that I'm the COO. So what you wear, and when you're getting dressed each day, you are physically stepping into and embodying that role. It will help you mentally, as well as others looking at you, to perceive you as that person. And then lastly, if you are the person who has gone through all of the existing solutions and you still have a closet filled with clothes, but nothing to wear, and you are experiencing those negative emotions getting dressed, it's stressful, it's tear-inducing, depressing, frustrating, all of the things. You feel like you don't have a personal style. You feel like you can't figure out what to wear. It might be time to outsource. So you understand that the investment in this, in the external, far outweighs the cost of continued visual underperformance. Most of you, I feel, are probably in highly competitive industries and high stakes situations, and that there is an actual cost to hesitating. So if you are one of the people who continuously postpones, you know that this is something you need to deal with, but you're continuously postponing that, there is a cost to that. And you understand that you really need to be positioned, to be seen, and to be remembered. Okay. So if you are in the third category and you are like, I'm ready to take the leap and I want to deal with this, this is the time is now. In uncertain economies, this is a major time when you need to invest in yourself and set yourself up for success. This is the best time to do that. So we would love to offer you, it's a complimentary executive style strategy session. This is a strategy session and a discussion where we will talk about visually, how do you want and need to dress for your career in order to achieve your goals and ambitions? And what challenges are you coming up against in achieving that vision? And then next steps in working with us. So we'll talk about logistics and timeline, and answer any questions you have about working with a stylist, pricing. It is not a time to come with all of your style questions, because that's what we would do if you were to become a client. But really, when we're talking about outsourcing, we highly recommend that you really interview and you make sure that it is the right fit for you. So here is a QR code that you can scan to sign up for the session, and we are the style that binds us. And so we have a website, and all of our social channels are the style that binds us. So thank you so much. And now we can open it up for questions.
Thank you both so much. This is really great. And I feel like I did take a vacation day this afternoon because I feel like, wow, I'm totally not dressed for this. But anyway, there's two questions that are
perfectly dressed.
Yeah.
there are two questions that have come up in the chat, and anybody else that has questions, you can just raise your hand. I know we're very short on time, so if you can stay for a few minutes more to answer these questions. First is from a park. Can you share some of your favorite stores for staples and unique pieces, just to get people moving? And I know it probably depends on the style you're trying to go for, but for the kinds of professional looks that you showed us.
Okay, if you sneeze.
I'm about to sneeze, I think. Allergy season. Yeah, I get that question a lot, and I also get the question of if I was going to invest in one piece this season, what would it be? And the problem there
Yes.
is that um, certain brands work really well for women that have no curves, and other brands work better for women that have a waist and a hip, and also different budgets, different style aesthetics. There's really, I know, I wish I had easy answers, because right now I feel like it's harder than ever to figure out where to shop. I mean, department stores are kind of in disarray, and there's so many things that are happening that are making it harder to shop. But I do not have a simple answer about the best brands for you to check out. And also, we work with so many different brands that I would not feel right, not mentioning one if I mentioned another.
Right.
If that makes sense.
It's a little bit more complex than just like an easy answer. They also ask mom, like when she's quoted in articles, what's the one investment piece? You already said that. So it's basically, it's that puzzle. We have to think about, what is your lifestyle? What is your budget? What is your style aesthetic? What is your body type and coloring? We don't know your industry. We don't have not much information in order to really give
The best thing would be the best fabrics you can afford.
Right.
And if you wear a lot of fast fashion, the issue I have with that is just that if something is that inexpensive, someone somewhere along the way has really suffered in the making of that garment. And it's much better to have fewer pieces than a whole bunch of inexpensive pieces. Sorry. And I really am an advocate of consignment shopping
and vintage.
and vintage shopping, all of that kind of thing, because that's where you get the statement pieces. Once you build that core wardrobe, then you can have fun. A lot of people shop when they're on vacation because they have more time. That's when you can show your personality.
Right. And fast fashion, it doesn't last. And also there's no resale value. So there's many reasons why it's better to invest in fewer better things than having all of these fast fashion things like maybe, you would have done in college. Okay, let's see. What is the next one, Deborah? Pregnant?
Oh, there's another question. I don't know if you can answer it, but it's about budget. What budget do you recommend for the high quality pieces and the investment pieces? Even if it's a ballpark, like if you're going to buy a well-fitted jacket,
right?
Generally, you have to spend X.
Well, and we'll see where things go with these tariffs and everything. But I would say, and I love blazers because blazers look great with jeans, and they look great with, khakis, and they look great with dress pants and skirts and overdresses. I mean, they're just such a versatile piece if you know the right one for your body type. But anyway, I would say, I think 300 up to the sky is the limit. I mean, it's really hard to find a blazer that's going to last and with good attention to design for $150. Unfortunately, even $200 now. And one brand that so many people love for blazers is Veronica Beard, and now her blazers are almost $700. And that's just a contemporary brand. So, but she just gets the fit so well. But I've gotten some of her blazers on the Real, and things like that. So, that again is why I think like consignment is so great. You can get those tags still on them. So anyway, that's the problem with the less expensive stuff. It's and last as long.
That makes sense.
There's also all the outlet stores. Make sure that it's not like J. Crew outlet where that the pieces are actually made for that and they're lower quality, but they're the ones that they were in the full price store and they've been sent to off price. That's if you can wait. But
J. Crew itself, can be a good option.
Okay. And we had one well, they're all interesting questions, but one was, where would you go for a good bra fitting? I've heard that it's a critical first step to how well everything else fits.
Yes, it's a great point. It is so important. And almost every client to a T says, "Oh, I'm not wearing the right bra today. Sorry." When I'm at their house working in their closet. But it's really hard to find, bras that fit well. It's also hard to find bras that are comfortable. And I think that's the thing after COVID too. People are like, "I don't want underwires anymore." But
Right.
the bra fitting is super important. And I know, like, we went for a bra fitting at Bloomingdale's and
Yeah.
with
Right.
Wacol, and they said they do it also virtually. They can do it through Zoom. I guess you would have the measuring tape and things like that.
Right.
But how do you spell Wacol?
Hold on, I have to make sure that that was the right one because it was so incredible. And who
A lot of
does
stores, it
the
used to
measuring?
be like, there's a store, I'm from Birmingham, Alabama. There's a store there called the Lingerie Shop, and they still do the measuring and things like
Yeah,
that.
Wacol. Yeah.
Okay. And I'm sure in like New York City or, in big cities, they have places that Atlanta, wherever that they are still doing bra fittings, but for some reason they quit. And now there are a lot of bras that are online that I wouldn't order a bra online if you hadn't been fitted and don't understand it.
We have one about pregnancy.
What is
If
it?
you're
Yes.
pregnant or trying to become pregnant, what would you advise them to do?
I would advise to find, well, if you are pregnant, and there are so many clothes now that can stretch with you as you grow, and then you can wear them afterwards as well. And then there are brands like, I think Hatch does it, but a lot of brands now are concentrating on those kind of pieces because they understand that people don't want to invest a lot of money unless they're planning on being pregnant multiple times or sharing with other people and things like that. But as far as like getting your colors done and things like that, you can certainly do that when you are pregnant, but it might not be the best time to get like the body analysis and figure out short-waisted, long-waisted, all those kinds of things, and what works best for your body type and things like that. So that would be my advice. Things with stretch, things that can grow with you, and then you can wear, for a couple months after.
I know BB was in her pregnancy.
I was
What
so
was it,
excited.
overalls?
And I was
3
pregnant
months.
no, it was 4 months. I wasn't showing, but I was so excited about being pregnant that I started wearing pregnancy overalls early. And my brother-in-law at the time was like, what are you doing? But anyway, I was excited about
You were
my
excited
baby
about
coming.
the bundle of joy that was about to
Yes,
arrive. Okay,
yes.
so the blazers in the case studies, Deborah, were like AI generated. So I think
Yeah,
That's right.
yeah, that's so
Okay. I think we've covered the questions, and thank you for staying. We've gone over a bit, but we really appreciate. I think this was both thought-provoking because, as you mentioned, it's often the last thing we think about, but also you made it fun and engaging. So thanks very much, and we're really thrilled
Thank you
that you
for
took
having
the time today.
Of course, thank you. And we hope everyone found this helpful and really enjoyed it.
Yes, and thanks for providing us with a complimentary for those who want to take advantage of it to have that first talk with you. So thank you and have a wonderful rest of your day. It's my evening time, so
Let's have go out for drinks or whatever.
Enjoy
Go to
staying.
dinner.
Or bed.
flamingo. Yes. Okay.
All
Anyway,
right.
take care.
Thanks,
Thanks so
Deborah.
much.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.